Good evening, everybody. How are we all doing? I hope having a good week so far. Today's Thursday, the 12th of February 2015. And we're back, episode 13 of Arrow, titled Canaries. Pretty good episode. Vertigo's back as well, played by Peter Stormare. And very interesting. Another episode of Revelations, essentially, as I would like to call it, because it is pretty cool. And the opening sequence, oh my god, didn't expect that to happen at the very beginning of the episode. So that was very, very interesting. Scary, but very interesting. Yeah, so what we have in this episode, Oliver Queen, obviously he's now back and he's getting up to speed of what's been happening in Starling City, and at the same time, obviously, Laurel is out, patrolling as the Black Canary. Oliver is still not happy about the fact that she is out there putting herself at risk, essentially. So he gives her a bit of an earful at one point, and then obviously we remember last week's episode, Malcolm has decided to form an alliance with, I say Malcolm, it's Oliver has actually decided to form an alliance with Malcolm to help him get trained in order to defeat Ra's al Ghul, because they now know that Ra's is pretty much going to come after them now that Oliver is pretty much back from the dead, and Malcolm, who's supposed to have been dead as well, is still pottering around Starling City. So and then obviously we've got a shock that our rather emo looking DJ friend is actually a member of the League of Assassins, and when he eventually finds out that Merlin is not actually leaving Starling City, he contacts our friend Masio over in Nanda Parbat. It's amazing how they get good reception over there in an isolated, remote part of the world. Because even Malcolm does state at one point that whilst Nanda Parbat is the most remote place in the world, that's not to say that Raz can't see what you've been doing on television. So yeah, for a man who doesn't like technology, he really does know how to embrace such a utility. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Some interesting things happen in this episode. For me, though, the biggest one, obviously, so major spoiler alert, Thea now knows everything. She knows about Oliver. Oliver eventually brought her into the fold, so she now knows that he is Arrow. About flipping time, if you ask me, because I was wondering to myself, when was she going to find out? When was she going to get told? Was Malcolm going to be the one to tell her? He nearly did at one point. If you remember back in season 2, when he... No, sorry, not him. It wasn't even him, sorry, I'm thinking of Slade Wilson, so yeah, ignore me. But no, Malcolm had plenty of opportunities to tell Thea, who Oliver really is, because he already knew as well. But yeah, sorry, I got mixed up with Slade Wilson. It was Slade Wilson who had the opportunity to tell Thea last year. But instead he told her that her real dad is Malcolm Merlin instead. But the reaction from Thea, Oliver didn't expect it. Same thing, I didn't expect the reaction. She was actually thankful that he's out there saving people's lives. I suppose I was expecting for her to, first of all, break down and cry, tell him off, have a go at him, and then not want to see him again, But no, quite the opposite, if anything. And to her surprise, obviously their mum knew, and Oliver told her that on the night that she died, fortunately, she did tell Oliver that she knew, and she's known for a while. So yeah, that was very interesting. Last week, when I was doing my review for last week's episode, I did say that there was something that I was going to mention throughout the entire video, and it completely slipped my mind. Well, I figured it out the other day what it was I was going to say, and it is the fact that Captain Lance already figured out Arsenal is Roy Harper. And it's like, oh my god, so he clicks on that one, realising that because Roy Harper used to wear a red hoodie, he's now wearing a red hoodie as Arsenal again, and it's like, dude, don't need to put on the little voice emulator on because I know it's you. And it's like, okay, so you figured him out. Why have you still not figured out Oliver Queen? And even later on in the episode, it is revealed that, well, he figures out that Laurel is Black Canary, but finally Laurel tells him the full story about Sarah, which I'm happy about because he needed to know. But obviously she was worried about his health, which is why she didn't tell him in the first place. But at the same time, it was like, come on, dude. This is your father you're talking about. He needs to know where his daughter is, and you've got to tell him. And she does tell him. They both break down and cry. So it was very, very emotional. There was a massive full circle moment in this episode, because last week we all remember how Felicity was berating Oliver for the fact that she didn't want to be a woman that he loves, kind of thing. So she put herself in the centre. She put herself on the pedestal. She was being really selfish about the whole thing. Whereas this week's episode, it's Oliver who was being selfish. Oliver put himself in the centre because Roy stood up to him. Roy basically told Oliver, get off Thea's back. You've brought her into the team. Now you're trying to push her out again. Let her make her own decisions. And Diggle is standing there thinking, okay guys, let's just dial this back here. Whereas Felicity was like, no, this needs to happen. This is what we needed. Right here, right now. Oliver needs to hear this from either Roy, me, you, whoever. And she put him straight, to say, look, you've been gone. We all thought you were dead. As far as we were concerned, it was either move on with our lives or stop what we're doing. And in the end, they all had to do what they had to do because Laurel was in trouble. She put herself in reckless danger with vertigo. And that was pretty much the turning point for Oliver to say, look, why is all this happening? Felicity was right in saying that, yes, we were always doing things your way, but now, because you were gone, we had to do things our way. And he put it himself in, in his own terms. Well, now I'm back. And Felicity was like, well, yeah, you're back. But it doesn't mean that we should go back to the way things were. Everything's different. Everything's changed. It's not what it was before you left. Okay, so yeah, he put himself on the spot. So that was the huge full circle moment for me. Last week it was Felicity putting herself in the centre. This week it's Oliver putting himself in the centre. So yeah, pretty incredible. But yeah, no, really good episode again. The very, very end, obviously going back to Hong Kong. Wow, I can't believe what I just saw there. So Amanda Waller knows what she's doing, is all I'm going to say. And so does Matteo. He obviously knows what he's doing, tricking Oliver like that in a way. But yeah, Amanda Waller, she really knows what she's doing. So can't wait to see how that time period unfolds for Oliver. But yeah, very, very good. So yeah, solid episode, really good. As I say, I'm really happy that now Thea knows about Oliver, and also Captain Lance now knows the truth about what happened to Sarah. Yeah, it's definitely incredible, that's for sure. But yeah, good times ahead, people. That's all I'm going to say. I think the next episode is actually titled. Well, actually, is it Nanda Parbat? I'm sure it is. I'm sure the next episode is titled that. No, it's actually The Return. Sorry, that's next week's episode. But I think in about 2 weeks' time, it is going to be Nanda Parbat. So that'll be be very interesting. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. See you all very soon. Bye.